Hello, this is Lavistro, the Dragon of Cyberspace, coming to you with all news, tips, and tricks within the gaming spectrum. Currently, I want to make this updated video based on Dragoncast this previous Saturday regarding Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 as more data has come out. Now, it seems like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has been banned in Saudi Arabia, as PlayStation seems to have confirmed. I did mention this in Dragoncast, and I wanted to wait for more evidence. So that part place, Francesco Solbach reports, and I hope I said his name right. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, every controversy explained in one explosive timeline. Warhorse Studios seems unable to catch a break even after its success with the highly original medieval RPG Kingdom Come Deliverance, KCD. The studio once again thrusts into the spotlight, this time by a pendulum that might have swung too far. Some context. Back in February 2018, when KCD was released following its 2014 Kickstarter campaign, Warhorse Studios and its founder Daniel Vavra faced criticism from game journalists. They say journalists, but let's be honest, they're game journalists, for not including black characters in a game set in 1403 Bohemia, a region of the Holy Roman Empire. Vavra defended his decision, stating that the game aimed to be historically accurate and based on his sources, there was no black people in the area at that time. The controversy didn't end there. Vavra was also targeted for his apparent support of Gamergate, a move that started as a pushback against unethical practices in game journalism, was labeled by many critics as a harassment campaign against women and minorities. He was further criticized for his comments opposing Anita Sarkeesian, a media critic known for highlighting the sexualization of female characters in video games. Sarkeesian's critiques often went beyond specific games, portraying gamers as inherently misogynistic, racist, and bigoted, while promoting a woke agenda that some saw as hypocritical and harmful. For an instance, her infamous tropes versus women in video game series often omitted context, drawing ire from both gamers and developers. As a result, certain outlets refused to review KCD, citing Vavra's perceived bigotry and its association with Gamergate as reasons for their boycott. For example, Waypoint, a subsidiary of Vice Media, openly stated they would not review the game, claiming it was not worth their coverage due to Vavra's reviews. Gamergate, from the perspective of such outlets, was framed as a hate-filled harassment movement, while in reality, many gamers saw it as a response to unethical practices and overt polarization in gaming media. Despite this attempt, the smear campaign KCD gained significant traction through word of mouth. Many players appreciate its nuance, realistic portrayal of medieval life, and its engaging RPG mechanics. The story of Henry, a blacksmith's son, thrust into the chaos of 15th century Bohemia, resonated with players for its grounded, relatable narrative. The game's success defied expectations, selling over 3 million copies and securing the future of Warhorse Studios to develop a sequel. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a sequel battling modern gaming controversies. The sequel, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, is set to continue Henry's journey, picking up from where the previous game left off. Maintaining the medieval RPG mechanics, the sequel promises to be a bigger and better version of its predecessor. Many gamers, including myself, eagerly anticipate its release of February 4th, 2025. Yet, even with a larger budget, a clearer plan, and a strong foundation in its gaming industry, Warhorse Studios and KCD2 have not entirely escaped the controversies that plagued them during the release of the first game in 2018. The smear reignited when Daniel Vavra compared the current player count of the original Kingdom Come Deliverance to that of Dragon Age 2 to Veilguard on social media. His post highlighted that a near 7-year-old game had more active players than a newly released title from the well-established Dragon Age franchise. This comparison was slightly seen as a critique of Veilguard's development choices, which many fans argued prioritize a forced inclusivity over the core elements that once defined the Dragon Age series. The introduction of gender politics felt to many like pandering rather than organic storytelling. These changes alienated longtime fans who felt excluded from a franchise they supported for years. By focusing on modernizing the series, developers seemed to strip away the dark fantasy elements that had made Dragon Age a beloved franchise, leaving behind a hollow shell of its former self. This is something we also discussed in Dragoncast episode 4. Vavra's post drew criticism from some who saw it as unprofessional for a CEO. Predictability detractors provide the past controversy, pointing to his support of Gamergate and reignited the accusations that had dogged him during the release of the original KCD. Yet this controversy appeared to backfire as many gamers rallied behind Vavra's blunt critique. Some even speculated that the pre-orders of KCD2 saw a boost fueled by renewed support for Warhorse Studios and its commitment to delivering a game that prioritized authenticity over pandering. For a while, the controversy seemed to die down until a Saudi-based gaming outlet, VGA4A, posted on X claiming that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 would be banned in Saudi Arabia. The tweet stated that the title was banned in the kingdom due to an unskippable love scene between two men in the game's story mode. And here's the tweet. The post quickly went viral in the gaming community, with influencers such as Grooms, Edemion, Smash AT, Pirate Nation, and others amplifying the story. This sparked widespread debate, with gamers questioning whether Warhorse Studios has bent the knee to what some critics describe as a woke agenda. This was especially contentious given Daniel Vavra's past and current public stance against pandering and forced diversity. However, the lack of an immediate response for Warhorse Studios only fueled further speculation. Many of the alleged screenshots being shared were later proven false and doctored, yet the damage to Warhorse's reputation had already been begun. The attacks were further amplified by certain individuals who actively spread false rumors, seemingly aiming to harm Warhorse Studios and Vavra personally. Eventually, David Vavra addressed the rumors directly on X. He clarified, "There are no unskippable cutscenes in our games. Anybody who claims otherwise never played them." Additionally, he denied any ban, saying, "We are not, nor ever were, banned in any country, at least not that we know of." And that's something that I want to clarify here. A lot of people seem to say that he has lied when he made this statement because they focus on the first half, and yet he said this that we know of. The discovery of the PlayStation ban that we're talking about currently came after this statement. So we do not know if he actually did know of the ban or if the ban was after the controversy statement or anything like that. We need physical proof before we can say he actually lied about this. As far as I know, and I'll get to it later in the video, there's only one way we could find that out. Vavra also refuted claims of pandering to modern agendas, adding, "As much as I don't like forced diversity, nobody was forcing us to do anything, and we are not forcing anyone to do certain things. KCD is an RPG. You're responsible for your decisions. If you want Henry to try a same-sex adventure, feel free. If you don't want to, you don't have to. All affairs are, and were in KCD 1, purely optional. The characters are perfectly aware of that it was a forbidden sin." He further went on to emphasize the game's historical authenticity. "Everything displayed corresponds to the morals and social norms of 1403 Bohemia, and is only there to make an interesting story, not at all to appeal to a modern audience." This approach highlights Warhorse Studios' commitment to portraying life in medieval Bohemia as accurately as possible. Ironically, this could make Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 one of the first games to authentically portray challenges and social stigma surrounding homosexuality. And he got the time date wrong. It's 1403 AD. Because what is 1403 based on? Where does it start? The time that Jesus Christ was born. And you can say that Jesus Christ was not the Son of God. I'm not going to argue that with you. That's religion. But there is historical evidence of an actual Jesus Christ of Nazareth who said and did and experienced the things that the Bible claims to he did, at least in the physical part, that the fact that he did exist. For many gamers, his commitment to historical realism, no matter how uncomfortable, adds a new level of authenticity and depth to the game. However, also reassured players that these choices would be entire player driven, aligning with the RPG's focus on agency. For gamers who valued accurate portrayals of history, this could offer a unique and nuanced perspective, even if it revisits some of the darker, more uncomfortable moments of the past. Despite these reassurances and confirmations that interactions with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will be in line with historical perspectives, and with influencers such as Grumps, Edemion, and others coming to Daniel Vavra's defense, there are those who, despite his response, believe there should be no divisive characters in game. They see this as a betrayal of what they claim to fight against woke ideology. Some have even gone so far as to question Daniel's response, stating that he said much without saying anything. In other words, they believe his response was merely an attempt to pacify criticism, while still maintaining what they perceive to be an agenda-driven game. Those critics have also harshly criticized Daniel for replying to an X-user in the following way: "Because I don't talk to bad guys from World War II like you." This response has led to jump to the conclusion that Daniel, much like others accused of pushing woke propaganda, uses terms like this along with artist or bigot to silence criticism. However, based on the tweets from this person, Lucian Draven, there's a clear pattern of anti-Semitic hatred. For example, Lucian has tweeted the following. I'm not going to read it because I don't know if I would get in trouble with the YouTube terms of service. So you can feel free to pause this. And that's the scratching the service. These tweets along demonstrate a consistent and vile hatred towards Jewish people, providing clear justification for Daniel's refusal to engage further. There are additional tweets that feature various racial slurs, all edited to avoid being flagged by X's automated system. But they further highlight this pattern of bigotry. These examples are sufficient to discredit Lucian entirely. Thus, in my opinion, Daniel is not wrong for refusing to engage in this kind of rhetoric. However, many people tend to jump to conclusions. We now live in a world where you are either uninformed or misinformed, and for the truth to come out, one often needs to read everything, something most people simply do not have time for, except perhaps me. Unfortunately, these tweets might have given more credence to those who are determined to frame their opinions as facts rather than examining the truth as it truly is. Yet the controversy hasn't stopped there. Recently, Vavra faced backlash after criticizing a YouTuber, Rev says Dezu, who has been defending Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. In an article published on That Park Place, a YouTuber defends Kingdom Come Deliverance, Gritter comment backfires big time as allies turn on Warhorse Studios. The situation is thoroughly detailed. The article highlights how Vavra labeled Rev a gritter based solely on the title of his video without actually watching it to get context. This prompted criticism even from those who had previously supported him. As a result, many of his allies are now respectfully defending the YouTuber, pointing out that Vavra may have acted prematurely. So here's the tweet. I'll just go slow down slowly. You can pause it if you need to. This incident highlights the irony of the situation, as it appears Daniel himself may have jumped to conclusions just as others have done towards him in the past. Breaking out from the article, I do want to point out that we did mention this is a very good possibility as well. We did address this in Dragon Cast episode 4. And watch, I said he did not, I did not justify his actions. I do want to point out that he doesn't know us from Adam. You know, when he's from another country for one. And number two, he's been attacked from all sides since the day he started Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. So I can see where he would have jumped to the conclusion and think that everything is always the same. As the That Park Place article outlines, Rev's video primarily criticized broader industry trends while standing up for Vavra against detractors. Furthermore, this reason is significant given comments Vavra recently made during a podcast appearance where he stated that the game developers are often intimidated by YouTubers and influencers like Asmongold, Grumps, and others. Vavra explained that the criticism these individuals levy against gaming companies, often based on gamer reactions, can have a profound impact on whether a company's latest release succeeds or fails. This dynamic makes his response to Rev particularly notable, as it now seems he may have inadvertently alienated some of the very people who had been supporting him. While it seems he may realize his error, this incident served as a reminder of the power and influence that YouTubers and online personalities wield, shaping public perception. It was these various influencers who ensured Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 succeeded, spreading positive word of mouth about the game. Warhorse Studios thoroughly deserved the success they achieved. It is indeed ironic that Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 managed to escape its own controversies back in the day, only for its sequel to now face new challenges. Interestingly, this time the controversy does not stem from those pushing woke propaganda, but rather from a hard-line anti-woke critics. This pendulum seems to have gone so far that some may forget the importance of historical context, the portrayal of well-written characters, and a proper presentation of social issues from our past. As shown before, Daniel and his team at Warhorse Studios have consistently pushed back against forced inclusivity, and now they find themselves in a position where they must push back against those demanding they conform to a different set of ideological expectations. Whether or not you choose to buy the game based on this entire debacle, whether you see it as good or bad, illustrates that neither side should jump to conclusions without proper context. And this is true. No one can truly know if Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a good or bad game until they played it. Perhaps this controversy will ultimately reinforce and strengthen the Warhorse Studios, or perhaps it will leave a black mark on how they handled these challenges. Regardless, we will all need to wait until the game's release on February 4th, 2025 to experience it firsthand, and as always, formulate our own individual opinions about it. Now, I will say that this last part I definitely agree with. You still want to buy a game and you're unsure, but you don't want to buy woke games. He's not wrong when he says YouTubers are shaping and influencing stuff. While I'm not saying that I personally have such power, I stream games every night. And I highly recommend, if it's not me, someone else who plays Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and see for yourself if such a thing pops up. Me personally, I have not seen enough evidence to say the game is woke, but I have seen a lot of red flags, and we do have evidence to suggest it might be woke. But playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, there is a mention of a sodomite. You do meet this said sodomite. This is what the game calls it. And you do have scenes of nudity and nudity and sex as well in there. I also want to point out that, and I don't have the article with me, I couldn't find the tweet in the article, but Demian mentioned how Daniel Vavra said that Kingdom Come Deliverance is not a Christian game, and he disagreed. I'm going to say right now, just because there's a church in there, just because the whole story has references of Jesus Christ, Christ be with you, and is inside of medieval Europe Christendom, does not necessarily make the game Christian. For example, while it does talk about the historical controversies of Catholic Church's corruption in 1403, there is a fictional priest who's very very corrupt, very for the priest in the Catholic sense. He has a concubine. He drinks. He has vices. And while I say that a lot of Christians have these same issues that they have to address themselves, and you would expect the pastor to be held to higher standards, the sermon Henry gives in that quest line is not one that references Bible verses at all. He references a speech that the priest himself gives while being drunk about his own issues with the corrupt church. It does not really give Christianity a glorious light. It does make the organized religion look bad. But to the everyday people, the normal peasant, the lords, basically it says that everyone makes mistakes. But there's no Bible verse mentioning that would say that to come to God. There's no sense of repentance. Nothing in that game has struck me as a person who follows the faith Christian, but neither is it mocking Christianity. It's actually offering an honest critique of historical events. I also want to point out that that part place also doesn't mention another controversy. While it mentions a lot, we actually discussed in Dragon Cast episode 4 another controversy. This is from 80 level. A Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 won't have Denuvo. Well, I'm not going to read the whole article this time. I'm just going to put in there that last month, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 Steam forums got flooded with negative comments lambasting the upcoming game and its developers over their purported plans to ship the long-awaited sequel with Denuvo, a controversial DRM technology that makes piracy harder but can hinder game performance. And they talk about how the rumor organized, right? You can see all this in the podcast. But the negative reputation of the software in question and the lack of any official statement for developers led many to believe the rumor, prompting criticism of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and the cancellation of pre-orders. After several weeks of uncertainty surrounding the subject matter, developers stepped forward and addressed it directly, putting the rumor to rest, officially announcing that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will not include Denuvo. In a recent 2-hour Twitch screen showcasing KCD's tank gameplay and performance, Warhorse Studios global PR manager Tobias Stoll-Zwilling, I hope I said that right, also known as Sir Toby, confirmed that the game will launch on PC without the DRM, urging the community to bury that thing and never ever talk about it anymore. Here's that quote. There were some discussions, of course. There was some misalignment. There was some misinformation. But that, in the end of the day, there won't be any Denuvo at all. And with that, I would like you to close the case already, Sir Toby said during the stream. That is something you should really remember. As long as Warhorse doesn't announce anything, it's not true. That was the case with the announcement of KCD2. That would be the case with the specs. And that is, for the instance, right now with DRM. At the time of this article, there's no DRM. If you look on Steam right now, I guarantee you will not see a warning for Denuvo DRM or KCD2, but you will see that for Doom the Dark Ages. That's the thing I wanted to address. But I also want to come out here and give you another sort of thing. This is from Grant Taylor Hill, who has claimed to have played the game. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 banned in Saudi Arabia due to unskippable LGBT scenes. This is what started the current controversy. The time it is, a statement has not yet come out. But he says, most recently, Saudi Arabia banned The Last of Us 2. He acknowledges the same-sex relations bans. But he goes, I'll also stress that I've not come across a single cutscene in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 that couldn't be skipped, which casts further doubt upon this claim. Again, I reached out both to the developer and the publisher for clarification. We'll update the article when I have more. And here's evidence that he has played. He's writing another article about the maps. I'm trying to skim through it because there might be spoilers. Here he is. He's part of the staff. He's a senior editor of, and here's Grant Taylor. As you can see, he's the senior editor of Insider Gaming. And he does meant to be a gaming journalist. He can use kind of FSPS titles and post-apocalyptic games as well. We see here his articles. All right. But I decided to check for myself, as we all know about the PlayStation 5 Arabia ban. I decided to check on Xbox. As you can tell, this is Arabia. It's in Kingdom Come Deliverance, and all I see is Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. There's nothing in here for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Maybe I'm doing this wrong, but I do not see Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So that leads into the belief that it might be banned. You gotta remember this, the news came out of PlayStation 5's removal after Driver came out and said what he said. But I also want to put in here, here's him praising Grant as before, because that's him right there. Saying, calling it a cinematic masterpiece. And I'm just going to grin through it. All right. He has made a lot of claims over the past. He's trying to promote his game. Here it is right here, the full context. He's releasing the full review, February 3rd, where he claims there's nothing in here. However, I will find this very concerning, just as I find Rev versus Desu concerning as well, being attacked. So would he be woke? I don't know. I do use his things before, and he could be paid by. To be fair, as you can see, Grant seems to defend on Twitter KCD too, and people worried about being woke. He actually has some snippy remarks, which is typical of a journalist. So I do not know if he is woke or not, but as of right now, we have to wait and see. What I do want to point out is Daniel Barbara's tweet saying "LL Sure," showing that he has a lot of followers for his game and the CDB. Regarding to someone saying down to 32 and dropping fast. So I decided to verify that as well. Here's Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 Gold Edition, where I found that, according to this one, is the known restrictions for Steam is Russia Federation and Belarus. There's no cross-region trading and gifting. But other than that, there seems to be no ban for any Arabic countries on Steam. Here's another example of CB. This is where his charts go, where it shows the followers as of today on his store data. And here's the Steam follower history from May 2024, all the way to today. After making this video, it seems to grow up. We'll even do a 1 week. It shows a steady incline up 1 month as well. So it doesn't seem to stop. I do not see Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 failing in this as well. I also want to point out this theme where this guy also claims that there's no woke messaging. He loves the game and it's fantastic in almost every aspect. And if you read the article, because I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you read the article, you'll find him in here saying the right words. The argument is based on a premise that KCD is somehow a DEI game. It is not in my opinion. Representative of some cultures and minorities is nice if done well. So he says all the right things, and that's one thing I want to point out is that journalists and developers are waking up to the fact that DIE does not sell. It's bad for business. So they're going to try to say other things. They're going to try to use the opposite power words. And we also should remember what I said about factionalism. If you're not one of us, you're one of them. And that seems to be happening too after the woke died down. You had the anti-woke wanting one thing, and you have other people saying, I just want good games. In Dragon Age episode 4, we did talk about homosexuality in the Middle Ages. I'm not homosexual myself, nor am I woke, but there was evidence of homosexuality in the Middle Ages. And then there was a study about engaging in 2019 being debunked. There was multiple discussions about it as well. And like in Scientific American, PBS News, which they said, the study says, and I quote, sexuality cannot be pinned down by biology, psychology, or life experiences. This study and others show because of human sexual attraction is decided by needs and desires, right? It says it's effectively impossible to predict an individual's sexual behavior from the genome or genes. And here we have the actual study in which they say these aggressive genetic influences partially overlap with those on a variety of other traits, including external behaviors such as smoking, cannabis use, risk taking, blah, blah, blah. However, the genetic effects is, that differentiate heterosexuals or separate heterosexuals straight from homosexuals are not the same as those that differ non-heterosexual with lower versus higher proportions of same-sex partners, which says that there is no single continuum for opposite sexes same-sex preference. So based on genes, it does not exist. There's even a interview that was also made that says there's no specific genetic signature for homosexuality, or in slave terms, no single so-called gay gene. That's defining the largest ever study of human genetics and sexual preferences conducted on an external team by an Australian researcher. Published today, this study also has come in for criticism from the commenters saying it's of little value scientifically and could pose a risk for members of the LGBT community. Which goes to the argument I'm wondering if he putting on there that homosexuality, it's a choice, and you can choose to make Henry gay. Because people are arguing, oh, Henry was canonically straight, now he's gay. Well, yes, this is true. You're canonically straight from birth until you choose to be gay. You make that choice. That is the belief of people who believe homosexuality is a choice. You can choose that. You're not born with that. You can't hide as it's the ultimate victim grandstanding. I was born this way. I can't change who I am. No, you can't change the color of your skin. You can't change if you're male or female. You can make a decision based on the fact that there's no gay gene. So, and as far as we know, based on the subject and sciences that we have at this time, there is no gay gene. Ergo, it is based on the environmental factors of your choices. We acknowledge Dragon Age has homosexual choices and 1, 2, and 3, as well as Mass Effect. And then you have Baldur's Gate 3 as well. That was a great game. Why do people think that KCD 2 is woke when KCD 1 and Daniel Vavra have reportedly decided to stand against it? The main issue would come from their parent companies. The Embracer Group, which as we've seen here, is known for embracing diversity and inclusion and being very vocal about it, and posting a fact sheet stating their ESG goal as well. Whereas the new community guidelines was posted by Deep Silver. And by no means Deep Silver is innocent of claims of justification, even though that the rules they posted seem to be neutral. As we can see here, they did Saints Row, which did not do so well from the time of release to today, and received a 3.2 on Metacritic as well, despite Paul Tassi pointing out that Saints Row is actually better for you than you've heard for Saints Row fans. We do have a history to fall back on when it comes to journalists praising trash and woke games and discrediting good games because it doesn't fit a narrative. However, one should also ask themselves if they're doing the reverse to ensure such games doesn't exist, because they can't stand with their pride and ego a game to succeed if it doesn't fit the narrative. They've tried slandering it, it didn't work. They know now that gamers will come to defense of a great game that's not woke if they slander it. So who's to say they did not go the opposite direction? There's no evidence for this. This is merely my opinion, something for food for thought for yourself. And while it is concerning, and I'm not defending Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or Daniel Vavra, I do want to point out that when it came to Denuvo's DRM back in November 2024, there was a delay for response, and they came out and said there is not. One might say that they were trying to verify that this was not true from their parent companies that are over to them, like Embracer Group and Deep Silver, but also to verify this was not the case, that there was no claims. Sometimes these things take time. All right. This is not an indie group. Now we got to understand. I'm not trying to be an apologist. I'm trying to give a different viewpoint. And we could also point in that Insider Gaming might also be going woke with their attacking their readers for saying woke, and then they get snarky with them, as we've seen viewers do as well. This is merely to give you, the consumer, the gamer, a different perspective, adding more context for you to make your own opinions. And if you're unsure, it's always best to go to your favorite content creator who says they're going to stream the game and watch them play it. Because full transparency is important for everything. But also remember that just because people believe there's a gay gene, as we found out there is not, doesn't mean that Henry's going to be canonically gay now. Let's not forget Commander Shepard in Mass Effect is canonically a male, and his female version is called FemShep. Doesn't mean that all of a sudden she's canonically female. So this is something I just want to point out. Put your comments and thoughts below. If I have overlooked something that you think I should look into, I would definitely like to hear that article. I'm just going with the data I know at this time. With that being said, this is Lavistro, Dragon of Cyberspace, saying happy gaming.
Worlds clash in endless collision. Gaming news with a fierce precision. With a spark so wild it breaks the norm. In the tempest eye, a cyberstorm. Reclaim gaming and Dragon Cast. Fire breathing wine, screaming loud. Lavistro's here to shake the crowd. Psychotic dragon.